Good evening and welcome to the 126th VFW National Convention Awards Banquet. If everyone could please find your seats so you can begin this evening's program. My fellow comrades in arms of the veterans of foreign wars, patriots of the auxiliary, distinguished guests, and citizens of our great republic, my name is Dan West. I'm your VFW Adjutant General. I will be serving as your Master of Ceremonies for tonight's event. National Sergeant at Arms, please prepare the room for this evening's festivities.
Yes, sir, Adjutant General, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, facing the flag of our nation, please join me in an opening salute to our colors. Present, ha! Order, ha!
At this time, would we have our National Chaplain, Peter Hook, please come up and do our invocation.
Parade, hit!
Bow with me at this time. Gracious and almighty God, as we gather this evening at the 126th National Convention for this National Awards Banquet, we pause to thank you for the opportunity to come together in fellowship and in celebration. We're grateful for this time to share a meal, renew friendships, and honor those whose service, sacrifice, and commitment to our shared mission continue to inspire us. We ask your blessing upon those being recognized tonight. May their dedication remind us of the values we hold dear and renew in each of us a deeper sense of purpose and service to others. We give thanks for the food before us, the comrades and guests beside us. May this banquet nourish not only our bodies, but strengthen the bonds of unity and gratitude that define us as a veterans organization and as a community. In your name, amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Medal of Honor recipient, Spec 5 Specialist 5th Class James C. McCloughan as he sings our national anthem.
Veterans of foreign wars and auxiliary, attend, ha! Present, ha!
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Order, ha!
National Sergeant of Arms, would you please provide a statement for our missing comrades?
You may notice this table here in a place of honor. This table is our way of symbolizing that members of our armed forces are missing from our ranks. They're commonly called POWs or MIAs. We call them comrades. This table set for one is small. It symbolizes the frailty of one prisoner against his oppressors. The tablecloth is white. It symbolizes the purity of their intentions to respond to their country's call to arms. The single red rose displayed in a vase reminds us of the families and loved ones of our comrades in arms who keep the faith, awaiting their return. The yellow ribbon tied on the vase is reminiscent of yellow ribbons tied around trees and worn on the lapels of thousands who bear witness to the unyielding determination to demand a proper accounting for our missing. The candle is reminiscent of the light of hope, which lives in our hearts to illuminate their way home, away from their captors and into the open arms of a grateful nation. A slice of lemon is on the plate to remind us of their bitter fate. There is salt upon the plate, symbolic of the family's tears as they wait. The glass is inverted. They cannot drink with us tonight. The chair is empty. They are not here. Remember all of you who served with them, called them comrades, and relied on them for strength and might in the battlefield. If we were in their place, surely they would not have forsaken us. You are not forgotten.
Comrades, ladies, gentlemen, you may be seated now. Ladies and gentlemen, my fellow comrades, patriots, guests, welcome to this most distinguished occasion. The National Awards Banquet is very much like the long-standing traditional Navy mess nights and Army dining-ins of the different service branches. Military commanders have recognized over the years the extreme importance of camaraderie and its significance to unit effectiveness. The primary mission of the veterans of foreign wars, according to our congressional charter, is to preserve and strengthen comradeship among our members. This award banquet is an opportunity for our members to meet socially, partake in a sumptuous meal, I didn't write that, enjoy some pleasant entertainment, hear distinguished speakers, and honor those of notable achievement. Tonight, we will continue this tradition and hope that the spirit of this occasion will be carried away with you to all our posts in the field around the world. As with all occasions, there are some rules of the mess. Smoking and vaping is not permitted. Smokeless tobacco use is not permitted. Please silence your cell phones. Please turn off your flash on your cameras, but take all of the pictures that you want. Just make sure you get my good side. No domestic squabbles or international incidents, and please be respectful to each other. Failure to do so will result in your appearance on Jerry Springer and social media, I promise you. I would just remind you that the mess has not been opened for you to partake of any food yet. It still has not been declared fit for human consumption. Drink responsibly, do not drive. And for those of you who sneaked in your own alcohol, do not leave the bottles on your table. You will get caught, and I did not bring enough bail money. For the rest of you that plan on taking CBD or THC-infused gummies, you need to share with me. Let's have some fun and make some new friends tonight. On this most auspicious occasion, I would like us to honor a long-standing tradition that has endured for centuries. It is time for the toast. So I would ask that you please charge your glass with the beverage of your choice. I need my glass. Well, that's not my glass, but I think my wife's trying to get me drunk. First, I propose a toast to the colors. To the colors. National Commander-in-Chief Al Lipphardt, do you have a toast?
I certainly do. I propose a toast to the Commander-in-Chief of the United States. To the Commander-in-Chief.
To the Commander-in-Chief. Quartermaster General Mark Garduno, do you have a toast?
I do. I propose a toast to the United States Army.
To the Army. National Senior Vice Commander-in-Chief Carol Whitmore, do you have a toast?
Of course I do. I propose a toast to the Marine Corps!
Hey! Inspector General Greg Stafford, do you have a toast?
Certainly. I propose the following toast to the United States Navy. Fair winds and falling seas.
To the Navy!
Sailors at sea, land, and air.
Take that mic away from him. I propose, National Junior Vice Commander-in-Chief Tim Peters. Do you have a toast?
I do. I propose a toast to the United States Air Force.
To the Air Force! National Chief of Staff Jeff Carroll, do you have a toast?
I do. I propose a toast to the Space Force.
To the Space Force. National Surgeon General James Turillo, do you have a toast? To the Coast Guard. National Auxiliary President Brenda Bryant, do you have a toast?
Certainly. I propose a toast to all families of all those who have served.
To the families! Comrades, patriots, one quick announcement. As is customary, prior to the close of tonight's activities, we will play each of the service songs. When your service song is played, you are expected to stand up and show your colors. What that means is you will take that bandana that you purchased at the VFW store for the lovely price of $5 and you'll wave it around. If you plan on using your napkin that you put all your food shrapnel on, please know you're going to fling it on other people. So we have a lot of amazing people here with us tonight. Hey, Renee. We have a lot of amazing people with us here tonight. So I would ask that you hold your applause as I make these introductions, and I've got 2 full pages of them, so pay attention. Commander-in-Chief Al Lipphardt and his wife Carol. Senior Vice Commander-in-Chief Carol Whitmore and Bradley Whitmore. And while we're on the Carols, let me understand this. I've got a Carol Lipphardt, I got a Carol Whitmore, I got a Quentin Carroll, I got a Jeff Carroll, and I got a Lisa Carroll. And in the military, when you say the last name of somebody named Carroll, I got 5 people that answer me. That's not, because sometimes Carol Whitmore gets mad when I'm talking about Carol Lipphardt. And Carol Lipphardt, I will never talk bad about. She got on me once. Our Junior Vice Commander-in-Chief, Tim Peters, and his wife, Barbara. Our Quartermaster General, Mark Garduno, and his wife, Anju. Our National Chaplain, Reverend Peter Hook, and his wife, Carolyn. Our National Judge Advocate General, Joshua Schreck. Our National Chief of Staff, Jeff Carroll and Elisa Carroll. Inspector General, Greg Stafford. Our National Surgeon General, Dr. James Turillo, and his wife, Diane. Immediate past state commander is not here, actually. Okay, auxiliary, National President Brenda Bryant. National Senior Vice President Lois Callahan, and I don't have your name, but I know she married some Marine named Lois, or Terry, Trey, Teddy, what is it? Mr. Lois, all right. National Junior Vice President Donna, and I know that she brought her husband with her. Secretary Treasurer Ann Pantelikas, and that thing she hangs around named Stan. Chaplain Kim Harney. Conductor Sandra Uzel, and she has her son with her tonight. And our National Guard, Janie Ferrer. Janie, did you bring your better half? Oh, no, all right. Special guest with us tonight. We're very honored to have with us 2 Medal of Honor recipients, Mike Rose from the Department of Alabama, and our keynote speaker, Medal of Honor recipient James McCloughan. We also, go ahead. I'm told that we have a 99-year-old World War II Merchant Marine, Julian Smith, in the audience. All right. And we have with us Representative Derrick Van Orden, who we will hear from here in a few minutes. At this time, we also have all our VFW past commanders and chiefs. Just look around if you see one, shake their hand. Same with the National Auxiliary past presidents, our National Council of Administration members, the Foundation Executive Director, Hal Roche, and his wife, Beth, the National Home Board, Military Order of the Cooties, the Supreme Commander, and the Auxiliary President, Patches Pressfield. I also have the Assistant Adjutant General in the D.C. office, Ryan Gallucci, and the Assistant Adjutant General of the KC office, Brian Walker. Plus, you've seen our National Sergeants and Sergeants of Arms. Now, none of these events could have been possible without the generous benefactors we call sponsors. And that we're going to start with USAA, Aero International, Humana, Twisted X, Sports Clips, Grunt Style, and Select Burger King franchise owner. And if I didn't call you out, if you're a tax-paying citizen, you're being recognized here tonight as well. That's a lot of them. I was supposed to have y'all stand up, but I see a lot of y'all are starting to get a little fatigued from lack of food. At this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the National President of the Auxiliary to the Veterans of Foreign Wars, Brenda Bryant. Brenda was elected National President of the VFW Auxiliary at its 111th National Convention in Louisville, Kentucky, a 45-year-plus member of Humphrey Schwert Auxiliary 2180 in Warrenton, Missouri. She joined on the eligibility of her father, Herman Stuck, who served in the United States Army in Korea from 1950 to 52. Please welcome VFW Auxiliary National President, Brenda Bryant.
Good evening. It's an honor to have this opportunity for so many of us to join together for a great time and an opportunity to share the camaraderie. Take the time to get to know each of the people at your table because it's an opportunity that you may not get tomorrow. Thank you for all that you do, and thank you to the Auxiliary for all that you continue to do to help out our veterans, those that are sitting amongst us. Congratulations, and thank you for an outstanding year.
At this time, please join me in welcoming VFW National Commander-in-Chief Al Lipphardt. Alfred J. Al Lipphardt was elected Commander-in-Chief of the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States on August 1st, 2024 at the 125th VFW National Convention in Louisville, Kentucky. Al served in the United States Army. Yeah, that's still cute. From 1965 to 1979, earning his VFW eligibility by serving in Vietnam from 1967 to 68 and from 1970 to 71. Please give a loud round of applause for National Commander-in-Chief Al Lipphardt. You're just supposed to say something. These are all mine. Brief remarks, Chief. Stop messing.
So, how y'all doing? Really? Come on now. How y'all doing? Okay. All right. That's much, much better. Or more better, as they say. Listen, this has been a phenomenal year. The reason it's been a phenomenal year is because you've taken the vision, you've embraced it, you've applied it, and you've achieved it. Effort is to be appreciated. Achievement is to be celebrated. And that's what we're doing here tonight. We're celebrating. So enjoy yourselves. You've worked very hard. Have fun. And then we'll get back to business tomorrow in the business of VFW, where the most important person in the Veterans of Foreign Wars will be in attendance. And that's all of you, the individual members of this organization. So thank you very much. And I left my hat back in the room.
That's all right, don't worry about it. Thank you, Chief. Since some of you got a head start, I'd like to introduce one last speaker before we start eating. Congressman Derrick Van Orden is a retired senior chief petty officer who served for 26 years in the U.S. Navy. Let's go, Navy. Represent. He began his career as a corpsman with the Marines and later completed BUDS training and was first assigned to SEAL Team 4. In his 26 years of service, Mr. Van Orden completed numerous assignments and duties, including 5 combat deployments. Today, he represents Wisconsin's 3rd District, which includes the cities of Eau Claire, La Crosse, and Stevens Point. Congressman Van Orden was first elected in 2022 and has served on the House Committee on Veterans Affairs since joining Congress. Mr. Van Orden has held the role of chairman of the Economic Opportunity Subcommittee, which is responsible for oversight and legislation for veterans' employment, education, and transition benefits. Congressman Derrick Van Orden has worked in a bipartisan fashion with his counterparts on the Veterans Affairs Committee to ensure service members, veterans, their families, and survivors remain a top priority in Congress. He has championed numerous bills as the chairman of his subcommittee and is a strong supporter of many VFW priorities, including the Senator Elizabeth Dole 21st Century Veterans Health Care and Benefits Improvement Act. He is also, go ahead. Tim, I need some of that THC-infused drink again, all right? He is also the sponsor of the TAP Transition Assistance Program Promotion Act and the resolution commemorating the 125th anniversary of the VFW. If you see Chairman Van Orden presiding over his subcommittee, you often see him proudly wearing his VFW cover during the hearings. He is a life member of VFW Post 1530 in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and has been a strong supporter of the VFW and its mission since joining Congress. Please put your hands together for the Congressman.
Good to see you, man. How are you? Okay? All right. Navy Chief, Navy Pride. Yeah. Yep. Commander, I am out of uniform. Commander, I am in uniform. What this guy didn't mention was I'm the longest serving enlisted member of the United States military to ever get elected to Congress in the history of our nation. Yep. You know what that means? That means I've cleaned a lot of shitters. I have. Sorry, ladies. That's how this night's going to go. I'm an incredibly proud member of the VFW. You are my people. These are the beads of my people. And I proudly wear them in Washington, D.C. You'll notice, if you can see in the back, the rank order. it goes from precedence top to bottom. The bottom thing I wear in this jacket is my congressional pin. On top is my SEAL trident, and then some awards that I was given for some opportunities that I had. And I want to tell you this. If we don't help ourselves, no one will help us. I got my first bill signed into law about a week and a half ago by President Trump. It's a partial claims bill. Didn't make a lot of news, but this is what it did. It's going to help upwards to 3.5 million veterans stay in their homes. And to me, that's critically important. Do you want to hear how it happened? Inside baseball? I go, hey, how does this work? I don't know how this works. And they go, yeah, you go up to the White House and you go into the Oval Office and the president signs the bill, you take a couple pictures and you leave. I'm like, okay. I go up there and they go, there's been a slight change. I'm like, what is it? The entire National Press Corps is going to be here. You're going to speak with the president and make remarks to the entire planet. I'm like, all right, when? 49 seconds, go. Yeah, a little stressful. Listen, I just want to take a moment to thank, where are our spouses here? Spouses, will you please stand up? Sarah Jane and I have been married for 32 years now. She was with me for every single combat deployment, every single peacetime deployment. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You help us carry the torch of freedom. We are the people that have borne the brunt of my generation of the GWAT. We have Vietnam veterans here. We've got a World War II veteran here. Hopefully we have some Korean veterans here. This country would be nothing without us. And you wear that with pride. And there's a difference between being proud of something and being boastful. You take pride in your service, you take pride in your country. I don't recall ever having anybody besmirch the flag in my presence. I don't recall asking anybody what their political beliefs were when I was in uniform, ever. I don't recall asking what anybody does in the privacy of their own home when I was in uniform, because it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that you stand up, you pick up your rifle, and you move towards the enemy. The only thing we care about is if you can shoot, move, and communicate. Correct? I am standing between you and dinner, and I realize that. And so I'm going to close with this. If you ever need anything, I am there for you. And you must be there for each other. And when someone's down, you pick them up. Take the time to look in each other's eyes. You know when someone's having an issue. And take a moment to just ask them how they are. And tell them that you love them. And tell them that you cherish their presence and that they have value. So God bless you. God bless the United States of America. And God bless the veterans of foreign wars.
National President Brenda Bryant, would you do us the honor of sampling the salad to see if it is fit for human consumption?
Adjutant General, I find this hand-picked organic matter full of Mother Earth's nutrients, caressed by gentle rain from the sky, and danced upon by the sun's vitality and flavor. It is fit for consumption by the members of the mess.
Thank you, President Bryant. At this time, I would ask that the head steward bring forth a plate of tonight's main entree so that it may be sampled by the Commander-in-Chief. All right, now, pay attention.
Adjutant General, this animal's demise surely was one of the greatest and most beneficial sacrifices of all time. The texture is of Far East silk, the color suitable of a Picasso, the aroma a gentle reminder of that word and this word. And the taste is the vibrancy of life itself. I most certainly find this meal to be suitable for the members of the mess.
Thank you, Commander-in-Chief.
You're welcome.
Now, without further delay, it is my great honor to hereby declare the food for this banquet as fit for human consumption. Please enjoy your meal. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I know some of you may still be finishing your dessert, and that's perfectly fine. Before I get to my special introduction, I have two things I'd like to call to your attention. Number one, everybody should have one of these very special 126th anniversary coins. These are the only place you can get these coins at. So arm wrestle the person next to you if you want more than one coin, but it was for the price of your ticket. So know that you have that. The second thing I'd like to do after this next gentleman I've known for years. He and I have done some great things. He's done some great things, but he's finally allowing me to introduce him by his official title, and that is Brigadier General Buddy Grantham from the state of Texas, who will be retiring in just a few months. So, all right. Tonight, we have a very special keynote speaker for you. When our next guest deployed to Vietnam in March of 1969 at the young age of 23. Then, Private First Class James C. McCloughan was assigned as a combat medic with Company C, 3rd Battalion, 21st Infantry Regiment, 126th Light Infantry, the Americal Division. We got some fans there. How about that? He wasn't even in country for a full month before his character and moxie were tested. On the morning of May 13th, Charlie Company came under fire in an area near Tam Khe and New Yon Hill. During the assault, 2 American helicopters were shot down, one of which crashed roughly 100 meters from the company's position. The fierce enemy fire made landing a rescue helicopter impossible, so a squad was sent out in order to rescue the pilot and crew and bring them to safety. The squad reached the perimeter around the crash site, and with complete disregard for his life, McCloughan ran 100 meters in an open field through heavy fire to rescue a comrade, too injured to move, and carried him to safety. Later that day, 2nd Platoon was ambushed by a large North Vietnamese Army force and sustained heavy casualties. Without hesitation, McCloughan led 2 Americans into the safety of a trench while being wounded by shrapnel from a rocket-propelled grenade. He then ignored a direct order to stay back and braved an enemy assault while moving into the kill zone on 4 more occasions to extract wounded comrades. He treated the injured, prepared the evacuation, and though bleeding heavily from shrapnel wounds, refused evacuation to safety to remain at the battle site with his fellow soldiers who were heavily outnumbered. Time and again, he ran headfirst into crossfire to extract wounded soldiers while also fighting the enemy. His courageous actions were instrumental in saving the lives of his fellow soldiers and motivating them to keep fighting. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming life member of VFW Post 667 in South Haven, Michigan, and Medal of Honor recipient, Specialist 5th Class, James C. McCloughan.
Thank you. Thank you very much. As Henry VIII said to his second wife, I won't keep you long. The first thing I'd like to do is thank a couple of individuals, but I promise you my list is not as long as Dan's. I'd like to thank Dan, I'd like to thank Al, and I'd like to thank my calendar girl back home. She's undergoing some treatment for cancer, so could not come with me. She's the one that manages me and makes sure that I get to where I belong. And I don't know if you know it or not, she's actually more important than me. She's married to a Medal of Honor recipient. I'd like to congratulate all of you on 126 years. You know, we're celebrating this year the 250th anniversary of the shots heard around the world back in 1775. My wife and I were up there for the reenactment, and let me tell you, if you think about it, the half of those 250 years you've been in existence. That's pretty cool. I always like to, I was a teacher, and I always like to tell a little story, especially in my first hour. It kind of wakes them up. This one's about a Dear John letter, and those of you that don't know what a Dear John letter is, you probably shouldn't be in the military. John Smith got a letter from Maria. It said, I don't love you anymore. I can't wait for you to come back and finally be with me. And I'm dating someone I think you might know, but I'd like to have my picture back. So he's sitting there sulking, and his drill sergeant comes up to him and says, what's going on? He told him the story. He said, you got that picture? Yeah, and he gave it to him, went back to sulking. And this very intelligent drill sergeant went around to the other men and asked if they had any pictures of their significant others, their girlfriend, fiance, or wife. And they did. And he sat down and wrote a letter that Maria thinks is coming from John. Wrote the letter, put the pictures in, and sent it off. And here's what it said. Dear Maria, I'm sorry that you don't love me anymore because I still love you. And I'm really mad that you might be dating somebody that I know. However, I do understand why you might want your picture back. However, I can't remember which one you are, so would you take your picture and send the rest of them back? You know that there's 341 some thousand or million people, in the United States of America, and approximately 45 million of those throughout the history have worn the uniform of the United States of America. There are only 18 million veterans alive in the United States of America today. 30% of them are living with a disability. Veterans are dying at 1,700 per day, 22 of them taking their own life and 24 of them by drugs. I'd like you to know that the Purple Heart and the Medal of Honor are, how many out here have the Purple Heart? Raise your hand. Look on the back, your name is supposed to be on the back. Those are the only two medals that are given with your name on the medal. But of course, the Marines use the Medal of Honor for the Navy, and so do the Coast Guards. There's only one Coast Guard individual that has the Medal of Honor. we in the United States Army used the Army, and then there, in 1956, I think it was, that the Medal of Honor for the Air Force came out. Congress, sometimes you'll hear it called the Congressional Medal of Honor. That's only because Congress must give the President permission to award the Medal of Honor. To meet, you're a little bit ahead of the game here tonight, but to meet a Medal of Honor, the proportion is to be able to meet a Medal of Honor recipient is 1 in 5,740,600 and something. So tonight, you have a special night because Mike, where are you? Mike Rose, would you please stand up? All right, Mike. You have two of us here, and actually Mike and I received the medal pretty close together 48 years after my action. There are only 61 of us alive. Mary Walker is the only female that received the Medal of Honor, and they actually took it away from her because she was a doctor's assistant and she wasn't in the military. That's one of the stipulations, that you have to be in the military. She never took it off. Jimmy Carter gave it back many years after she died in 1977. So that's a little bit about the medal that I wear around my neck. I've been a lot of places since I received this, and as a matter of fact, my life has been filled with more blessings than I deserve. I've been on championship teams. I won a couple of wrestling championships at the college level. I coached and produced all-league, all-state, and all-American athletes, 135 teams I coached throughout my career in football, wrestling, baseball, and American Legion baseball. And I even had several that made the professional ranks. I've been in the president's office, of course, my wife and I. I've been on stage with Lee Greenwood. I've been to all kinds of professional facilities, sporting facilities to sing the national anthem. And I've also been to the national rodeo finals twice, and I got these big old, belt buckle that for singing the national anthem. That sucker's never going around my waist. I know it. I couldn't even fit it around there. I've been places that many of us may not be able to go. I know I would not have been had I not received the medal. I've been across this great nation, and I've spoken in a lot of schools. I've raised money for several organizations, many organizations, and I even got to speak at the 3rd of the 21st Battalion, a banquet before they deployed to Kuwait, and I spoke at the 196th Brigade in Chicago, actually Lombard, a few years back. However, I want you all to know that being in this place with you, with all of the patriots in this room, I feel as if I would not want to be anyplace else but here tonight. I am so grateful for you. I'm going to give you a little bit of a picture of what it was like on that night and day of the 13th through the 15th. First of all, this medal that I have around my neck does not belong to me. It belongs to 89 men, 89 souls who were taken into an area which we did not know how many enemy soldiers were in, and we didn't know what kind of firepower they had. It's about a group of individuals, some of them were still boys, who either were drafted or volunteered to serve their country. We came from every part of this great nation. We took our basic and advanced individual training and ended up family in a place far different from the hometowns that we grew up in. We started out loyal to the country and the United States Army, but soon discovered that getting as many of us out and back alive as we could would be our main mission. We came to be friends, then we became brothers and soon blood brothers, closer than our own brothers back home. Each of us had a part in the survival we were thrown into. By the way, that survival was 2,000 NVA on the Hill and 789 of us. That's almost an impossibility. As their medic, I would have done anything. I did do anything I could to save my brothers, and I knew and was confident that they would do the same for me. I had what I called a positive job in a negative situation. When people were taking lives, I was trying to save them. And I was trained also to make the sick well and the diseased better. My father taught me at a very young age. He said, "Jim, you never do anything halfway. You do it to the best of your ability, and you do it till the job is finished." That's the reason I refused to get on a helicopter, though I was wounded. Number one, I knew the job wasn't over. Number two, I wasn't going to do it halfway. I'd rather be dead in a rice paddy than alive in a hospital and find out that one of my men was dead because Jim McCloughan wasn't there to do his part in the team. Make no mistake, though, when our company commander told the battalion commander that this was a flawed mission, he wasn't bullshitting. As you just heard, no forward observation went in, and this is what we found. It was a flawed mission. But we stuck together. There at New Yon Hill, though our backs were against the wall, we fought for each other's lives. Greater love has no man than to lay down his life for another person. And that's what happened on May 13th through the 15th, 1969, as the men of Charlie Company were willing to give their lives to save each other. In 48 brutal hours, we had 12 killed, another one who was captured, later died, and I worked on anywhere from 40 to 50 myself. When I was the only medic left. Good thing I didn't go. I was the only medic left the second day. You know, what we did was we walked out of there the morning of the 15th as blood brothers. The love we had for each other conquered the enemy. They moved out, and we were still standing. Let me get something off my chest right now. We didn't lose the Vietnam War, we won it. I hope you're understanding me. A man by the name of Professor Douglas Pike, who's one of the most revered historians of the Vietnam War, is quoted as saying, "We did not lose a battle of any consequence. It was almost an unprecedented performance by our fighting men. The war was a major defeat for the NVA and the VC." Look at the numbers. That's all I've got to say. Look at the numbers. And when we left in 73, remember the fall of Vietnam wasn't until 75, 2 years after we left, we won it. Here's what the Vietnam veteran, and then I'll get to all veterans, but I do want to spend a little time here. The Vietnam veterans stopped communism from being spread from Singapore all the way down to the Philippines, those little countries. Yes, we did. They knew if they stuck their nose in there, they'd have to go up against the fighting American soldier, and nobody likes to do that. Vietnam veterans, welcome home. I'm sorry it has taken so long for everybody to know what you did, but welcome home. Here's some of the reasons that all of the veterans in this room, and it includes the wives and children, a family, they're in the service together. And I know that because I was that way. My dad and my mom were also there with me too. My grandpa actually served in World War I, my dad in World War II, and my Uncle Wayne in the Korean War. I have my grandpa's dog tags in there, round, from World War I, round tags. When it was your turn to serve, you didn't run, you didn't hide. You joined or were drafted and took your place amongst those who chose to fight? Paul Harvey, page 2. You raised your hand and repeated the military oath and confirmed your commitment to the American and its ideals. You signed your family's name on this line. When I hear people say, I didn't do what you did too. Everyone in this room that's been in the military, there's this little form and you put your family name on there and you give them permission to send you into harm's way. If you don't get sent, fine. But you don't jump on a grenade thinking it's not going off. You jump on a grenade to protect everybody else, and that's what you did. So we're all equal when it comes to that. You worked your butt off in your training so that you could do your job. I don't know if you know this or not, but there's 14 million people that we call wannabes. They claimed they were in Vietnam, except they were never in the service. 14 million. Well, who would want to be like, you, because aren't you the baby killers and everything? Who would want to be like? Well, I'll tell you, that's an easy question to answer. Because you're an ABA. You're an American badass. And that's what they want to be like. You became a member of the biggest team that you'll ever serve on. You stopped and got on a plane or on a ship and you went to wherever it was they sent you. Whether it was Iraq, Afghanistan, Vietnam, wherever they wanted to send you. World War II for a gentleman here. You fought for a group of human beings, in most cases, that you didn't even know. You were defending people who could not defend themselves. That's who the American fighting man is. You were thousands of miles from your home and those that you loved, yet you kept your focus on your mission. Between fightings, you tried to write a letter home. If you were like me, you never told them what was really going on. Yeah, everything was fine. But you didn't want them to worry about you. Vietnam veterans, here is a statistic that I bet you don't know. My father, our dads, in World War II, had direct contact with the enemy in 4 years, 40 days. In Vietnam, in 1 year, 240 days. The reason for that, the helicopter took us to the fight just like that. I was in a nice, safe place. 15 minutes later, I was at the bottom of a hill that was outnumbered 30-1. You saw those that you grew to love deeply as family. You saw them get wounded or lose their lives and often felt helpless when you couldn't save them. You gave, and then you just kept right on giving. You looked on with that 10,000-yard stare as some of your men were put on choppers and planes in flag-draped coffins. Some were wheeled without parts that they were sent there with. Gentleman at my table sacrificed a part of his body for this country. You had medals pinned on your chest. You had ribbons placed on your uniform, but all you really wanted to do was go home. You and the rest of the people that you fought next to, you are the ABAs. You landed in America as you came home. I don't know what you did, but I knelt down and kissed the ground. I was so glad to be back in America. You didn't know at that moment what you had accomplished, but as a teacher and as a coach, I'm telling you that you took the biggest test you will ever take in your life, and you passed it with colors. And you played in the biggest game that you will ever play for in your life, and you won. You came home, you started a career, raised a family, built a home, tried to ignore what some were saying about your war. But though many around you talked about what they thought you had done, have no idea as you had really, really experienced. So you just chewed it up and spit it out. And know this, they'll forever be ignorant. That's not a bad word. They just don't know. I had one of my machine gunners say to me time and time again, "Doc, they don't know what we did in Vietnam. They just don't know." So one day I said this to him. Think about this. "Joe, what is it like to have a baby?" I said, "What?" I said, "What's it like to have a baby?" He said, "I don't know." I said, "Of course you don't, Joe. You've never had a baby. And you can't expect people that have not been in your boots to understand what you actually did in the war that you fought in." Just a little touch with the suicidal rate in our country. And I urge all of you, to be very cognizant of people around you. There are signs, you know, when they're not acting the way that they should be acting. And you yourself, when you get to that point maybe where you're thinking about the wrong thing to do, make sure you reach out to a friend. Be a friend and have a friend. That's the best way to do it. And if it has to be a call a day or whatever, it's worth it. Make sure that we take care of each other. You know, as a combat medic, 18, 19, and 20-year-olds I held in my arms. I heard their very last words, and I saw the very last breath of life leave their body. And I think that Ronald Reagan puts it best. He said, those are the real heroes. He said they actually gave up 2 lives. They gave up the life they were living when they were wounded in action, and they gave up the life that they will never, ever get to live. Never got to meet their soulmate and marry, never got to see the birth of a child, never got to coach that child like I did my 2 boys, never got to walk their little girl down the aisle and dance that father-daughter dance after the wedding. And every holiday, every anniversary, every reunion, every family get-together, they're not there. They gave up 2 lives so that we should live our life in honor of them. The American flag has been tossed about. If you think about this every time you see somebody treating the symbol of the United States of America wrongly, that flag accompanies every soldier, sailor, Air Force, Coast Guard with it draped on their coffin. It is folded and handed to the nearest loved one as at the funeral, at the cemetery. And everybody in this room, it's because of you. You are on every wave and wrinkle of an American flag as it flaps in the wind. You have given your all, and no one should abuse that. But it's the United States of America, and everybody claims that it's their right. I myself personally feel it's not. Finally, I want to tell you the biggest lesson that I learned in Vietnam. It was the second day, and somebody yelled, "Medic!" And I hurried out into the kill zone, and I couldn't move him. He had been shot in the abdomen, and even some of the organs were starting to seep. So I had to take pressure bandages quickly, and I'm a sitting duck. That's when I got hit with an AK-47 round in the arm. Kept right on working. Got the pressure bandages on. Had nothing to eat or drink those 2 days, 48 hours. This is why I took my water then and put it on those bandages so that their insides would not dry up and they would die anyway. Finally, I got them on and I pulled them gently into a trench line that was left there by the French in the French-Vietnam War. And I'm trying to figure out, how am I going to carry this guy out of here? Can't throw him over my shoulder with a fireman's carry like I did everybody else. Finally decided I could cradle him, put those bandages against my chest. This one time I was glad I was short, get as low to the ground as I could, and race through the crossfire, hope that my men or the enemy would not hit us. Here's the lesson. Out of nowhere, a thought came over me. It had been since I was a little boy that I told my father that I loved him. Fathers didn't do that with their sons. Sons didn't do that with their fathers back in the 50s and the 60s. I knew my dad loved me, and I assumed he knew I loved him too. We acted that way, but we didn't say it. And I had a conversation with the man upstairs. And now you'll know why I was so involved in my teaching and coaching. Lord, if you get me out of this hell on earth so I can look my father in the face one more time and tell him that I love him, I'll be the best coach, I'll be the best teacher, and I'll be the best dad that I can be. I ran to my father in the O'Hare airport, threw my arms around him, and he said he loved me, and I said, I love you too, Dad. As if we'd been doing that for 24 years of my life so far. It was our greeting and our departure. I taught my children, my grandchildren, my athletes, 72 assistant coaches I had through the years, and I'm giving you an assignment. There must be somebody, not on purpose, but you haven't been able to say those 3 words to. Time has been kind of rushed. So you can do it several ways. If you can look them in the eye and see them and tell them, I love you. And there's a part B to the assignment. Tell them why you love them. Those 3 words are hollow without giving a verification as to why. I thank you for your attention. I thank you for your service. I thank you for all that you continue to do. You're still not done. You're still working at it. And on a final note, I'd gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. Whoop. That's yours.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I don't sing that lid. From the halls of Montezuma. I would now ask that Chief Lipphardt and President Bryant join me on the stage for the presentation of awards. The VFW Distinguished Fraternal Award was established to recognize VFW members or citizens who have furthered the aims or ideals of VFW camaraderie. Nominees must display efforts that go above and beyond to preserve and strengthen a spirit of good friendship and loyalty among VFW members, assist surviving spouses and dependents of deceased members, or provide assistance to vulnerable and at-risk brothers and sisters in arms. It brings me great pleasure to present the 2025 VFW Distinguished Fraternal Award to Richard Jones. Richard Jones. Veterans of Foreign Wars, VFW Distinguished Fraternal Award and Citation awarded to Richard Jones, and spirited recognition and lasting appreciation of his unwavering commitment to supporting those affected by Hurricane Helene in western North Carolina. His efforts coordinating and delivering more than 1.2 million pounds of relief and essential resources to those impacted by the natural disaster significantly improved the lives of those left in the wake of his deadly hurricane. His efforts included organizing and loading 7 52-foot trailers, coordinating helicopter drops, and delivering items to include bottled water, generators, and Christmas presents, all while working tirelessly with other local organizations to provide vital disaster relief. His steadfast dedication, volunteerism, and leadership truly embody the spirit of service and have justly earned him the deepest respect and utmost appreciation of the veterans of foreign wars of the United States. In witness whereof we have hereunto set our hands in the official seal of the veterans of foreign wars of the United States, this 11th day of August 2025, approved by the National Council of Administration, signed by Alfred J. Lipphardt, VFW Commander-in-Chief, and Dan West, Adjutant General. Richard, did you want to say anything? Thank you.
Go North Carolina.
Go North Carolina. You know, if all of us do that, we'll get out of here sooner tonight. Thanks for setting that example. The VFW Distinguished Historical Award was created to recognize VFW members or citizens for their contributions to a better understanding of our American way of life, history, and institutions. Recipients must demonstrate efforts that perpetuate the memory and history of our dead or display the importance of American history and why that history is important in our institutions above and beyond what others would do. It brings me great pleasure to present the 2025 VFW Distinguished Historical Award to William Duffy from the great state of New Jersey. VFW Distinguished Historical Award and Citation awarded to William J. Duffy, and spirited recognition and lasting appreciation of his more than 4 decades of dedicated research and continued efforts to preserve and honor the military history and sacrifice of New Jerseyans. In addition to his many years of research, his efforts have included spending countless hours visiting schools to teach and pass on the stories of our fallen to our nation's youth, ensuring tomorrow's leaders better understand the true cost of freedom. From working to rename streets, establishing monuments, and flying banners, to igniting the public's passion for preserving the memory of our fallen and ensuring that they are never forgotten. His continued dedication and impact in preserving the mystery of our war dead has justly earned him the utmost respect in appreciation of the veterans of foreign wars of the United States. In witness whereof, we have hereunto set our hands and the official seal of the veterans of foreign wars of the United States this 11th day of August 2025, approved by the National Council of Administration and signed by Alfred J. Lipphardt, Commander-in-Chief, and Dan West, Adjutant General. Mr. Duffy, would you like to make a few comments?
U.S. Army Drill Sergeant William Duffy reporting for duty, VFW. Yeah. Fort Jackson, South Carolina, tank killed, 1970-71. After my deployment to Korea. It was the greatest job in the world I had. I ETS'd in August of 71 and came home and took the police test in Clark, New Jersey, northern New Jersey. And I was a cop in northern New Jersey for 40 years. When I joined the department, I joined the police department color guard. This is easy for a drill sergeant. November of 72, we did the Veterans Day services, and after the services, the Clark War Memorial, I knew about the 4 Vietnam guys, but not the 12 guys from World War II. So I asked the guys from the Legion and the VFW, the World War II guys, who was he? What branch was he in? Where did he serve? What street did he live on? They didn't have the answers. So I go to the library. They didn't have no files on him. So this is before the internet. You got to go to libraries and get microfilm. So I go to the libraries in Elizabeth and Union County, and then I go to archives in D.C. and Maryland, and you go to the microfilm. But then I would read the local newspapers. I would go from December the 7th, 1941, Pearl Harbor, to September the 2nd, 1945, VJ Day. And if I went to every page of every daily newspaper, I would find those 12 guys from World War II, which I did. And then I went and got their military records, interviewed family members, and it's a passion of mine. It's a labor of love. I came home. They did not come home. Every veteran in this room tonight came home. They did not come home. They should be honored and remembered. From the Revolutionary War until present day, Iraq, Afghanistan, approximately 1.5 million Americans have not come home. A little under half of that number, 700,000, was the American Civil War. 700,000, approximately 350 each side. World War I was 120,000. 65,000 of those 120 did not die from German bullets or German artillery. It was from the Spanish flu pandemic. World War II, 407,000. Both in the European theater of operations and the Pacific theater of operations. Korea, 38,000. Vietnam, 58,000. Iraq, Afghanistan, 7,000. So when I moved out of my hometown of Clark up in northern New Jersey, I moved to the Jersey Shore in Ocean County, Brick. Transferred my VFW membership to the Brick Post, 8867. And we did the Veterans Day services just like in 1972. The Brick War Memorial. Who's this guy? Who's that guy? Nobody knew. Nothing at the library. But now I got the internet. This is easy. So we did DAV, the VFW American Legion. We raised funds. We rehabilitated the Brick War Memorial. And it came out gorgeous. So what I do now is I go into towns to make sure they got a war memorial. Some towns don't have war memorials. Maybe that's because they don't have any fallen heroes. There's a prominent New Jersey town in Monmouth County, New Jersey, and there was no war memorial. I did the research. They got 5 fallen heroes, 3 from World War II, including a female, and 2 from Vietnam. And I don't go to the clerk or the alderman or the councilman. I go right to the top, the mayor. And no one has ever said no to me. What can we do? Well, we're going to raise money. We're going to get a big boulder. We're going to get a big brass plaque. We're going to put it in the boulder. We're going to put a brochure together with their names and bios. And I do this in all the towns. And then I'm going to be your guest speaker at the Memorial Day services, and it's going to go well. I've done at least 30 towns in New Jersey where I've done the research on the fallen heroes, made sure they had war memorials. And on Memorial Day, we put this brochure together, and we hand it out to the people at the Memorial Day services. I also go to the school systems. They scan this in, they do a blast email to all the parents of the students, and they all know about their fallen heroes. I urge all VFW posts to do this I would say 90% of all towns in America have a war memorial, and they do have Memorial Day service in honor of the fallen heroes. Some slip through the cracks, and they do not. Does anyone out there have any pull with the VFW magazine? There's got to be someone in this room that has a pull with the VFW magazine. I think, so everybody knows what I've done with the research and how other posts can do this in the country, my sources and how you can do this. You could do what I did and have a great Memorial Day service. In closing, a big Army and Air Force shout out to past National Commander Brian Duffy. Hey, Duff, where you at? Over there, Duff. No relation. He nominated me for this award. I thank Duff and also the committee who selected me and Commander Lipphardt. I salute all of you. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Congratulations. You talk about somebody with some passion. The VFW Distinguished Citizenship Award was established to recognize VFW members or citizens' service rendered through outstanding charitable endeavors to the country or local efforts. Nominations must show how the recipient displayed a high level of benevolent actions and philanthropic allegiance above and beyond in their support of veterans, civil, political, and social rights that exemplifies the duties and privileges of being an American citizen. Please give a round of applause for the 2025 VFW Distinguished Citizenship Award recipient from the great state of Nevada, John Yuspa. Hey, I told you to wait in the truck. VFW Distinguished Citizenship Award in citation, awarded to John Yuspa, founder and president, Honor Flight Nevada, in sincere appreciation and esteemed recognition of his unwavering dedication and commitment to ensuring our nation's World War II, Korean War, and Vietnam War veterans receive the gratitude and honor they deserve. His work at Honor Flight Nevada provides our nation's veterans a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to visit the memorials at the National Mall, giving them a way to remember their fallen brothers and sisters in arms while being surrounded by their comrades and sharing stories and experiences with one another at no cost to the veterans. His tireless efforts spearheaded an inaugural all-Native American honor flight in 2016 and has provided thousands of Nevada veterans with the welcome home, appreciation, and validation they deserve, justly earning him the utmost respect and appreciation of the veterans of foreign wars of the United States. In witness whereof we have hereunto set our hands in the official seal of the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States this 11th day of August 2025, approved by the National Council of Administration, signed by Alfred J. Lipphardt, Commander-in-Chief, and Dan West, Adjutant General. Would you like to say?
No, he's declining.
Give it up for John. The VFW Distinguished Educational Award was created to recognize VFW members or citizens for outstanding contributions to the education of the intrinsic values of American freedom and citizenship. Recipients must demonstrate actions and efforts that are exemplified through a formal, informal, or non-formal educational work that teaches the best attributes of patriotism and the intrinsic values of knowledge through everyday life. It brings me great pleasure to award the 2025 VFW Distinguished Educational Award to award-winning filmmaker and producer Jake Rademacher. VFW Distinguished Educational Award and Citation awarded to Jake Rademacher, and special recognition and sincere gratitude of his commitment and dedication to bringing national attention to the invisible wounds of war and veterans' struggles with PTSD, depression, suicide, loneliness, and the sense of loss. Using his exceptional and award-winning creative talents, his film, Brothers at War, and its sequel, Brothers After War, provide an eye-opening account of the true toll of war on our service members and all those who love them. His films are a remarkable tribute to the service, sacrifice, and resilience of those wearing our nation's uniform. His Brothers at War's resiliency workshops are designed to further help our nation's heroes heal and improve communication with their loved ones. His patriotism and passion give veterans a voice amid the silence, and that has justly earned him the highest degree of admiration and gratitude of the veterans of foreign wars of the United States. In witness whereof, we have hereunto set our hands and the official seal of the veterans of foreign wars of the United States, this 11th day of August, 2025, approved by the National Council of Administration, signed by Alfred J. Lipphardt, Commander-in-Chief, and Dan West, Adjutant General. Jake.
Why have I worked on this project for 21 years? 21 years ago, my brothers came home from Fallujah, and they told me the truth was not making it home. And as a brother, that pissed me off. Thank you. I decided to do something about it. I took all the money I ever made as an actor, I formed a production company, went back to my hometown, raised some money, and went to Iraq and joined Isaac on his third deployment there to tell their story. Now, I went to Iraq because my brother had a little girl, and I'd already lost a brother. And I wanted something to be able to help explain to her what kind of a man her father was, why he loved this country so much. But while I was there, it changed. I continued to tell that story and stayed and kept going back to Iraq for you. I was blown away by our service members, our brothers and sisters in arms, by their devotion to one another, their sacrifice, their passion, their generosity to one another. I went back to Iraq a second time. I was in Baghdad. An embed came in that no one else wanted it. They said, more IEDs go off on this road in the Sunni Triangle than anywhere else in Iraq. I said, send me there. They deserve to have their story told too. I went out with snipers, I went out with Marine advisors, an Iraqi army, and I experienced combat alongside all of them. That experience changed me. I came home and I shared this film with Gary Sinise, and we became friends. And we brought that film across America. That was Brothers at War. And what moved me was seeing somebody and having couples come up to me and tell me, we just had our first real conversation about his or her experience overseas. And I saw the power of story to heal. And that inspired me. We created a workshop, and we went out for 14 years now. About 50,000 people have experienced that workshop. And in 2019, I guess I convinced Gary Sinise and the Gary Sinise Foundation to give me another shot. And I went to 4 continents to follow up with my 2 brothers and 10 friends I made in Iraq. This time we were doing it, and they were so emotionally courageous with their stories And they did it for you. We knew that if they opened up about the new abyss they were staring into, the new challenges they faced, whether they were master sergeants or battalion commanders, or if they'd made that transition and were trying to figure out how to make the next step. As my brother said, when he told me he came half a pound of pressure away from ending his life. The first time he'd ever told anyone in our family that. I'm telling you this in case it'll help another soldier. And I brought a friend of mine, Kevin, a Marine gunner, back to a dusty road in Iraq. And at first he's like, yeah, the bullets were flying, yeah. And I said, Kevin, I was there. I saw the way you touched that Iraqi soldier's face. For me, it was grace on earth. How kind you were to him. He looked down, he started to cry, and then he told the truth. We've been taking this film, and thank you to everyone in the VFW. I see many friends out here tonight. Thank you for letting me talk to you about that film last year. We opened that film in 135 theaters across America in February. And now, because of that and the support of the VFW, the Gary Sinise Foundation is sponsoring an impact tour. We've already been up to Montana to work with the VFW there. We're going to be at the VFW home on Saturday. And tomorrow, thanks to the VFW and the Gary Sinise Foundation, we're going to screen Brothers After War, followed by a seminar at 1 o'clock. And I hope you will come and see your story and the story of these veterans. I tried to tell the story of a veteran through 12 veterans, and their families are in there too. And then afterwards, we're going to talk about you. And I invite you to take advantage of that, because I have witnessed the transformational power of someone who's held something in for so long when they finally let it go a little bit and start talking about it and let some light into those dark places. So while I'm incredibly honored to receive this from you tonight, I couldn't think of a group I'd rather get an honor from, to be quite honest. People I respect so much. The greatest honor is hearing your stories, the fact that you share them with us. I hope if you come tomorrow and you like it, maybe we'll bring it to your town to lift up the veterans in your community. Just a final thought. You don't hear this from many people in my industry, not nearly enough. But on behalf of Gary Sinise and myself and everybody at their foundation and all the people that helped me with Brothers After War, on behalf of my family, my sister who's currently serving, my nephew who's serving, I want to say thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice. And on behalf of my children, thank you for the gift of freedom that you have given them and generations of children to come. Thank you, and God bless.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell a little story about Jake. We had called him, let him know that he had won this award, and we were talking, and he's like, yeah. When can I show the movie and help my brothers and sisters? That was his overriding push. Thank you, Jake, for that. The VFW Distinguished Service Award recognizes VFW members or citizens for exemplary or extraordinary service to our country through demonstrated actions that promote the spirit of the VFW. Applicants must show how, through their volunteer actions of dedication and commitment to the VFW, the nominee contributed and exemplified the best attributes in service, companionship, and activities through their local community, state, or nation, the attributes that exemplify and define the spirit of a true VFW comrade. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to present the 2025 VFW Distinguished Service Award to VFW Post 5202, Commander Major Samantha Cahill. Unfortunately, Major Cahill couldn't join us in person tonight because she is proudly serving our country deployed to Kuwait. I am pleased, however, that she could join us virtually from downrange, as you can see on the big screens.
Oh, hey, how are you?
I will now read her citation and ask her to say a few words after. VFW Distinguished Service Award and Citation, awarded to Major Samantha Cahill, and lasting appreciation and spirited recognition of her exceptional service, dedication, and effort supporting the veterans of foreign wars, her fellow veterans and her community, spearheading initial relief efforts in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. Her work ensured VFW Post 5202 remained open and able to provide crucial support to those impacted. She coordinated daily meals for nearly 500 civilians and active Army and National Guard troops, and led volunteer teams to remove debris and help clean up dozens of homes. The commitment she has put forward to bring in public internet access to local towns, raise funds for the community, and help provide transportation to families in need not only contributes positively to those around her, but has helped her post membership grow, multiplying its positive impact on veterans in North Carolina. Her continued ability to meet the needs of her military, veteran, and local communities is a shining example to all VFW members and has justly earned her the utmost respect and gratitude of the veterans of foreign wars of the United States. In witness whereof we have hereunto set our hands in the official seal of the veterans of foreign wars of the United States, this 11th day of August 2025, approved by the National Council of Administration, signed by Alfred J. Lipphardt, Commander-in-Chief, and Dan West, Adjutant General. Samantha, bring it on.
Thank you, sir. All right, am I good to go? So my sincere thanks to Commander-in-Chief Lipphardt and to the veterans of foreign wars of the United States for bestowing this great honor upon me. For what Dan said, my apologies that I'm unable to accept in person, as I'm currently in the Middle East supporting the global war on terrorism with the United States Army. VFW Post, I heard that from over here. VFW Post 5202 is a small post in Waynesville, North Carolina, nestled amid the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, Pisgah National Forest, and iconic Blue Ridge Parkway. Many families have lived their lives for generations in this area, and others are transplants who have made this beautiful area in rural Appalachia their home. When I moved to Western North Carolina, one of the first things I did was transfer my membership from the state of Connecticut to that local VFW in Waynesville, North Carolina. I knew these were the people who would understand me the most, my desire for service after service and fellowship with those who experience similar experiences. Becoming the commander of this small but mighty post has been one of the greatest pleasures and one of the most fulfilling leadership positions I've served in. The devastation that hit Western North Carolina on September 27th, 2024 was like nothing we had ever seen before. The damage spread across multiple counties, hitting the areas most prone to flooding and the areas people would have never suspected would be impacted. Homes were carried away or ripped apart. Feet of mud where roads once were, landslides, lives lost, trees and power lines down. There was no water, no electricity, and no cell phone service across the entire Western North Carolina. No way to let loved ones know if you were all right or needed assistance. When the rain stopped and the floodwaters receded, there was unimaginable devastation. It was apocalyptic. In General Douglas MacArthur's 1962 speech at West Point, he famously uttered, "Duty, honor, country." Those three hallowed words reverently dictate what you ought to be, what you can be, what you will be. They are your rallying points to build courage when courage seems to fail, to regain faith when there seems to be little cause for faith, to create hope when hope becomes forlorn. I wear those three words right here on my right arm in honor of my Spanish heritage. I have them in Spanish, and as an outward showing of the commitment I made when I raised my right hand those 13 years ago. When I was finally able to make my way down to post 5202, 48 hours after the storm ended, largely because there was a massive landslide on my road that stopped folks from getting in and out. I immediately started getting accountability of our members and rounded up our leadership. The comrades of this post truly embodied those three words from General MacArthur. The first thing they asked me was, what are we going to do to help? You can take the veteran out of the military, but you can't take the military out of the veteran. We instinctively knew, without ever saying it to each other, that we had unique skill sets that we needed to utilize to help our neighbors in their time of need. We rolled up our sleeves and started building a con-op. As a logistician, I knew we needed food, fuel, water, batteries, and a way to communicate. Fortunately, I was surrounded by a strong group of former warrant officers and NCOs, and one of them had already set up his Starlink at the post. So we started sending text messages and making phone calls. The first texts I received were from our Department of North Carolina leadership, asking if we were okay and what we needed. They too knew they had a mission to fulfill and were already staging donations to send out our way. My relief chief, my wife, and I traversed what was left of I-40 and made our way 2+ hours east to the VFW post in North Wilkesboro, where members were waiting to fill our trailer and truck bed full of critically needed supplies. When the highways into Western North Carolina finally, partially reopened, they convoyed to our post with more supplies. A little bit to what Dan said, here are some facts and figures so that you can kind of understand the magnitude of what was accomplished. VFW Post 5202 was the first veterans organization in Haywood County on the ground within 48 hours after the waters receded and opened a flood relief distribution center. We were the first organization in Waynesville, North Carolina to open to the public with internet. We cared for over 1,000 families in Western North Carolina with flood relief supplies and daily deliveries of toiletries, cleaning supplies, and water and food. To Dan's point, we did feed over 500 civilians a day for over 2 weeks. We also fed 180 soldiers of the 101st Airborne who were in the area assisting with the relief efforts. Our members cleaned out 12 homes, ensured that 17 homes received heat that had none, and it was cold during that time, surprisingly enough. They ensured that they cleaned out 12 homes, that 17 homes received heat that had none, provided 31 homes with water that had none. We distributed flood relief supplies, food, and clothing. The clothing was donated generously by Grunt Style Foundation, and we're grateful to VFW National for that connection. And we donated those clothes, flood relief, food to 11 counties across Western North Carolina, to include the Charles George VA Medical Center in Asheville that took a direct hit from the storm. Our members and volunteers drove hundreds of miles in the process. We held the Helping Haywood fundraiser event and barbecue for the Brave dinner that raised over $6,000 that went directly to assisting flood victims across Haywood County, and we participated in the Rock for Relief Western North Carolina event that raised over $32,000 for local flood victims. We donated $3,000 in cash, handed it right to the people myself, to local families to help them rebuild their homes and lives after the storm. We recognized the need for long-term sustainment efforts and raised money and purchased a 40-foot shipping container to store and distribute supplies. This shipping container was and continues to be used to support the ongoing flood relief efforts. The Connex is also a tool we are able to utilize in the future should another natural disaster strike. Post 5202 remains actively involved in long-term sustainment efforts with other mission partners like Warrior Clan, another local veterans organization in Haywood County, to assist flood victims. Through the generosity of a group of volunteers from Georgia and food donations from local organizations, we held a Thanksgiving dinner that fed over 100 families on Thanksgiving Day, a way to give folks a break and sense of normalcy in a very unsettling time. Through the support of Veterans of Foreign Wars Department of North Carolina, we held the Christmas in the Mountains event at our post where Santa and his elf distributed toys to hundreds of children across Western North Carolina and handed out Walmart gift cards to local families to supplement their holiday gifts and dinners. People cried. This wasn't a few weeks effort. This was months of nonstop effort, and it still continued. As all officers know, our achievements are not by our acts alone. We lead and are the face of the effort, but our successes are only possible because of the team who stands beside us. I'd like to express my sincerest gratitude to all those who made VFW Post 5202's Hurricane Helene flood relief efforts possible. We had family and friends from all over the country who came to our aid through in-kind and monetary donations. From my family and friends across New England and Eastern North Carolina, who rallied to help us raise money to buy a smoker to feed flood victims, to a Jewish community in Florida who donated a semi-truck full of food, to VFW and American Legion posts across the country who dropped off supplies and sent monetary donations. None of this could have happened without their generous support. I'd like to thank VFW Post 5202 comrades, auxiliary members, and writers group who stepped up even while trying to rebuild and repair their own homes. I'm sure I'm missing folks, but shout outs to my relief chief, Joel Gill, who ran the overall volunteer coordination and veteran support services for the post. Sarah Lavery, who secured a ton of monetary and in-kind donations for us, to include getting our post to be a meal drop-off location for World Central Kitchen and securing stand-up freezers to store all the food donations we received. Coy Whalen for his back-breaking work clearing debris, Teresa and Jeremy Cochran, Jeremy Minshew, Megan Johnson, Ginger, Jeff, Lil Mama, Wendy Head and John, Chris and Angie Anders, Lois, Jeremiah, Tiffany Snowden, Tom Barrett, John and Terry Snyder, my friends Priscilla and Abel Casillas, Laura McDonald, my mother-in-law Lori, and Tim. We were a force to be reckoned with and did some incredible work serving our community. You truly understood the VFW slogan of still serving. Your blood, sweat, and tears is what made this all possible. Also, thank you to VFW Department of North Carolina, Triple Crown Department Commander Annie Cummings, VFW North Carolina Past Department Commander, and worst of all the cooties, Tim Woods, Jen Hutt, Alicia Judd for her nomination for this award and for being the best elf during the Christmas in the Mountains event, Nikki Biggs, Dolphus Troy, Mike Baker, my VFW mentor and North Carolina District 12 Commander Bobby Sheets for her connection to an interim smoker while ours was being delivered and for her guidance. VFW Quartermaster General Mark Arduino, the VFW post across North Carolina, South Carolina, Connecticut, Michigan, and Nevada who dropped off supplies and sent donations. VFW Department of New Jersey, Lynn and Karen Toomer from VFW Department of Texas, Western North Carolina Jeepers, Warrior Clan, American Legion Post 200 out of Hampstead, Maryland, Lazy Lab Acres LLC, again, Grunt Style Foundation, Taney Brothers Incorporated, the North Carolina National Guard, and Kershaw County Jeep Club. And a special thank you to the leadership and members of the 915th Contracting Battalion who are watching this live stream stateside. Your check-ins and words of encouragement during that time were noticed and greatly appreciated. From an early age, my dad, Dan Cahill, taught me that it is service above self. that when there is a need, we show up and we lift others up. We would volunteer for whatever nonprofit he managed to get involved with that week that needed assistance. I learned from an early age what it was to be voluntold. I wasn't raised with money, so he taught me that we give our time and sweat equity instead. My dad was pretty ill with dementia and Parkinson's when Hurricane Helene happened. He really didn't grasp what we accomplished, but I know that had he been well, he would have been right next to us, handing out toiletries, serving hot meals, and of course, taking pictures. I told him all about what we did when I visited him after the storm. And in my final FaceTime call, as I said goodbye to him in June, I told him about receiving this award because I knew he would be proud. I wanted to take a moment tonight to thank him, for cultivating my passion to serve and honor him publicly. Finally, and most importantly, I'd like to thank my wife, Nikki, for understanding what drives me and being my rock. She rolled up her sleeves and worked the long hours, shoveling mud out of homes in Clyde, dropping off hot meals, and coordinating cleanup crews. She truly understands selfless service and was just as ready to help the community as I was. We didn't see much of each other post Hurricane Helene, and as we were pulled in a million different directions, and it was hard. Being married to a veteran and a service member is a lot of work, and she sees once again with my being deployed. So thank you, love, for your constant support and being a kind and compassionate human being. Again, my sincerest thanks to Veterans of Foreign Wars for this great honor. I can't wait to continue doing great work on behalf of this great organization when I get home. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Samantha, and you make sure you come home with all your original attachments.
That's what I was told.
At this time, I would like to welcome National VFW Auxiliary Secretary Treasurer Ann Pantelikas to the podium to present the VFW Auxiliary Better World Award.
Jacob Schick always wanted to be a Marine. His grandfather and father were both combat Marines, and Jacob enlisted his senior year of high school. After being deployed to Iraq in 2004, a mine detonated below his vehicle, and Jacob suffered terrible injuries, including the partial loss of his left hand and arm, the amputation below the knee of his right leg, a traumatic brain injury, and post-traumatic stress disorder. While dealing with his PTSD and TBI diagnosis, Jacob became aware of the alarming veteran suicide statistics. Not willing to accept that, he and a group of fellow Marines started doing push-ups to raise awareness of veteran suicide, and the 22 Kill initiative was born. In 2016, the 22 Push-Up Challenge went viral, and with the fundraising efforts that accompanied it, by the end of the year, they were able to donate more than $500,000 to veteran service organizations. In 2021, 22 Kill became the One Tribe Foundation, and with Jake at the helm as CEO, One Tribe works to combat suicide by empowering veterans, first responders, law enforcement officers, frontline medical workers, and their families through traditional and non-traditional therapies. In its 12 years of existence, the volunteers of One Tribe Foundation have supported more than 250,000 communities and done more than 1 million push-ups. Jacob also travels around the country as a motivational speaker. inspiring people with his story of service, sacrifice, and never giving up. His story inspired National President Brenda Bryant to choose him as the recipient of our prestigious award, which is given to one individual each year for their outstanding contributions to society. We could not be prouder to present Jacob Schick with the Better World Award. Thank you, Jacob. Please come up. Thank you, Jacob, for the work that you do. Jacob will be speaking at the auxiliary meeting tomorrow, but Jacob, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you, guys. It's good to be in a room filled with family. You know, I got to say, when my wife told me about this award, I said, well, I mean, I have to do that for Mimi, for sure. My grandmother was the president of the state auxiliary in Louisiana. And I knew that she sure as shit would raise from the dead had I not done this. Because she would not hesitate to whip that ass. And I gotta say, for my grandfather, who's the reason that there is a legacy of generations of Marines in my family, started with him in World War II and fighting on Iwo. And he came home. I never got to meet him. He died 2 years before I was born. But my grandmother, Mimi, would always tell me, she'd say, baby, you know, your papa always said the VFW saved his life. And if it wasn't for the auxiliary, I would have killed him. And so I learned from my grandmother and watching her in the auxiliary what service above self was, long before I ever donned the cloth of the nation and proudly wore that Eagle Globe and Anchor. And I learned from her that service above self takes sacrifice. Sacrifice and service are synonymous. You can't do one without the other. And I've also learned from watching my grandmother and growing up, being influenced by her and reading about my grandfather, and having friends like Al Lipphardt and Prasad Reddy. And there's people like Brenda, that there is no room for self-interest and self-gain in the fight for the greater good. And finally, I'll leave you with this. You know, yeah, I had a bad day at the office in Iraq in 2004 in the Sunni Triangle, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. Because I've been able to do some amazing things simply because I've been put around amazing people. And by default, I had to be better. That's what's made me better. That's what makes all of us better. That's why this foundation goes as strong as it does and works as hard as it does, is because, quite frankly, I'm sick and tired of going to funerals. But I know this is, with all the division in our country today, I love this country. I've bled for this country. I fought for this country. I bled probably a lot more in bars than I did in the combat zone, but bled nonetheless. And I'll say this, is that everything this country has given me and my family, I will never, ever be able to repay that. But I promise all of you here tonight, I will die my last breath trying. Thank you all for what you do and for giving a damn, because it matters. Semper Fidelis, God bless all of you. God bless America.
Thank you, Jacob, for all the work that you do, and I will now turn the podium back over to Adjutant General West for the remainder of the program. Thank you, Dan.
All right, comrades, we're almost done, and I got ambushed, but I think this is pretty special what we're about to do here. We have a individual by the name of Patrick Reed, served in the United States Army. He has been inspired by us here this weekend to the point that he has joined our organization, and we're going to have the Commander-in-Chief read his member's obligation. Patrick Reed.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
If you'll come stand right here and face him.
Yes, sir.
Raise your right hand.
Do we have a flag?
Don't need a flag.
Okay, all right. We don't need a flag.
I got
Okay.
one on my forearm.
Yeah, hua. Actually, it's right here. I've got one right here. So we're good to go with flags.
Yes, sir.
All right. You will raise your right hand. Touch the flag of your country with your left hand, and we're good with that. Pronounce your name when I pronounce mine, and repeat after me. In the presence of Almighty God,
In the presence of Almighty God,
and the members of this order here assembled,
and in the members of this order assembled,
I, Al Lipphardt,
I, Patrick Christopher Reed,
do of my own free will and accord
do of my own free will and accord,
solemnly promise and declare that
do solemnly promise and declare that
I will bear true allegiance
I will bear true allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States of America,
to the Constitution of the United States of America,
and I will always be loyal thereto.
and I will always be loyal thereto.
I do further solemnly promise and declare
I do further solemnly promise and declare
that I will comply with the Congressional Charter,
that I will comply with the Congressional Charter,
bylaws, and ritual of this order,
bylaws, and what was that word, sir?
ritual
Ritual
of this order,
of this order,
and I will always be loyal thereto.
and I will always be loyal thereto.
That I will never wrong or defraud this organization,
That I will never wrong or defraud this organization,
nor a member thereof,
or a member thereof,
nor permit any wrong to be done to either.
nor permit
Any wrong to be done
any
to
wrong
either,
to be done to either,
if in my power to prevent it.
within my power to prevent it.
I will never propose for membership
I will never propose for
any
membership
person not eligible,
any person not eligible,
or one whom I know to be unworthy.
or one that I know to be unworthy.
I will never make known to. I will never make known to anyone
I will never make known to anyone
not authorized to receive it
not authorized to receive it
any of the work of this order.
any of the work of this order.
Should my affiliation
Should my affiliation
with the Veterans of Foreign Wars
with the Veterans of Foreign Wars
cease in any way,
cease to in any way,
I will consider this pledge
I will consider this pledge
as binding outside of the order,
as binding outside of the order,
as though I had remained
as though I remain
a member of same.
a member of same.
All this I promise and pledge
All this I promise and pledge
upon the honor of a true comrade
upon the honor of a true comrade
and a member of our great republic,
and a member of our great republic.
as you were. Parade rest. You are now welcome to the Veterans of Foreign Wars.
Hua.
Hua. Hua. Of course, there's cross a multi you're about to get, but I want to give you my personal challenge coin.
Thank you so much, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Glad you could be here.
It's my honor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hang on, Patrick. Patrick.
Yes, sir.
Our order is represented by the Cross of Malta. It is the symbol of warriors throughout the last 2,000 years. It is a decoration that is a real war veterans decoration. And we present this to you tonight so that all may know that you are a veteran of foreign war and a true comrade.
Go on, do it. Thank you, sir.
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
30 seconds. Ready, set, go.
Well, it's kind of on the spot here. I want to thank everyone for sharing this with me and my family. My wife Maria right here filming. I recently retired June 1st, or me and my family recently retired on June 1st. It's been a pleasure to be surrounded with all this history and greatness. And I look forward to continuing my service to my country and my community in the Fort Hood area. Thank you very much for sharing this with us.
Thank you for your service, brother. Be wherever you want. As the chief and president make their way back to their seats, we would like to thank all of you who have done an outstanding job for the veterans of foreign wars and the auxiliary during the past year. We honor each of you for your hard work. And prior to closing out this evening's program, we will now play each of the service songs. Get your handkerchiefs ready. Commander-in-Chief Lipphardt has asked that when your service song plays, you stand up, show your pride, and wave your service colors. You wave your service colors bandana that I know you purchased at the VFW store where you can buy all of your VFW merchandise. Right, Mark? Go ahead and give us a yell to make the Marines jealous of your lung capacity when your service song plays. Well, we'll start with the United States Army. United States Marine Corps. United States Navy. The United States Air Force. And the United States Space Force. And the most favorite branch of them all, because they picked me up in the middle of the Gulf of America, the U.S. Coast Guard. And just like that, comrades, patriots, friends, my job for tonight is done, and I call on the National Auxiliary Chaplain, Kim Harney, for the closing prayer.
All rise.
Let us pray. Thank you for the wonderful food and bounty that we have received here this evening. Thank you for this beautiful circle of friends. Help us to appreciate the world around us and those who have sacrificed so much for the freedom and American way of life we cherish each day. Give us the strength to continue serving our veterans, military, and their families with passion, hope, and love. Continue to bless the United States of America. This we ask in your name, amen.
Attendees of the 126th National Awards Convention Banquet, dismissed.